Okay, this is from the American Society for Microbiology, and they're talking about microbes might aid the search for extraterrestrial life. Now, the problem is what's space is extremely inhospitable habitat, which begs the question, could microbes even survive there? Well, let's see if we can answer that question. Okay, my friends, get ready. Shocker du jour. There are a ton of little meteorites around. This one here, I'm going to tell you right now, is a heart. The ones that have all the little dimples on them are lungs. Like that would be a lung, that would be a lung. I have two lungs here that are both little, very small meteorites. As a matter of fact, they're right here. You see the little magnets on them? Now, this one is very, very weakly magnetic, but it's iron, and that is as well. It's a little more magnetic because it's a little bigger. Now they smelt coming through the atmosphere, and they come with these patterns. You see all these little cavities in them? That's because they were lungs, most of them, because that's where your blood is. Now this is the exception. This one here is a heart. That one there is a heart. There's no little cavities all over it, like these little dimples. Okay, that indicates it was a lung. You see, that was a lung. Now, these two are lungs both as well. They didn't smelt as much as the bigger lungs because they're just tiny. But as I'll show you in the microscope, there's no missing it. And I can prove to you that they are both lungs because they have this attachment right there, that little latch that is on all the lungs. And that, like, this is where the air went into this one. And this is not a meteorite. This is a chondritic lung from Earth. But they all have this. And those will as well. I will show you in the microscope. And even the big ones, they all have them. Here's a couple more big ones. Hold on. There's one right here. Hold on, I'm going to find it. Well, I've shown it a million times. It's around here somewhere. But anyway, this is a lung. And all of the pleura, the coating around here, is started to erode off. But this is the lung. And that's the strap. This is strap. The same basic thing is like that. All right, and they all have that. Even like muscle. You see that latch right there? That's the same kind of a latch. All right, and it would have held this whole chunk of muscle into something, another wherever, a shoulder or something. But that's that locking device that latches organs and so forth into something else. They all have that. Now, so that's that. Now, let's look at this under the microscope. Don't forget, I'm going to show you how this burnt up, and I have to show you the other lung so you'll understand. Hold on, I get that. All right, this is the full rundown. This is when they completely get devoided. This is an Earth lung. Didn't come through space. There's still some red blood inside of it. You see the red split? That's what it looks like. Now, when it comes through space, what happens is the structural part stays somewhat, and all of the blood literally blows out, explodes, because it's gaseous, and it creates these little craters all over the things. Now these have them as well, but not as well defined as a bigger one that has all of these holes very well patterned. These, you'll see them, you'll see it, it's not too bad. Now, so this one is completely voided of everything. This one has the coating over here is all starting to erode away, and that's the actual lung inside. That's the latch at the top that holds it in position, and that is the latch at the bottom. Now it's flat like a pancake, as virtually most of my stuff is, because it was in the Great Flood, and this one here is the same thing. Now this is the coating that's on a good lung that has not been coming through space. What happens is everything burns off basically and turns black. And the bigger it is, the blacker it gets, because the hotter it gets. You see them? They're all just black. Now, these are so small that not all of the white stuff burnt off. So you're going to see some of the white stuff, and then you're going to see all these little holes, which are like these kind of little holes, and then the blood right inside of them. And that blood has still got enzyme that's reactive in it. All right? It's called catalase, and I will show you that. All right, as crazy as it sounds, that is a lung. Now that was it was in an Indian tribe in America somewhere, and it's called the Willamette meteorite, and they just took it, I guess. It was a sacred object to them, but you know, that's what happened. Now you see all these little wrinkly spots. That's because that's the iron, and what happens is all the volatile stuff, the fluids and the burnable stuff just gets burnt off, and it's called smelting, and you end up with the iron. And it's not magnetic, it's just iron, and that's what iron meteorites are not magnetic. They a magnet will attract, you know, it's just metal, it's iron. That's blood vessel right down in there, right there. You see that? That thing's still got blood in it, and so do all mine. Mine have the same thing. All my meteorites have blood in them. And I have another one here too. This one here, that's a bone meteorite that came through. This is not heavy, but it's magnetic, and that's where all the blood bubbled out. We'll take a look at that one too, or not. And we're going to see if they still have any enzymes left in them. Now, don't forget. What we're gonna do is we use the hydrogen peroxide, and we're gonna put it in there. Now you have to know what you're doing when you do this, otherwise it's meaningless. You make anything foam up, no question whatsoever. But when you know how to look for the details of the foam, that's when you can understand if it's, you know, exactly what the biology is, and we will look at that very shortly. All right, so don't forget, they're not really heavily magnetic. But you know the magnets stick to them pretty good. And it's wherever there's blood, and you boil that blood off, you're going to end up with the iron. That's what basically your blood is made out of iron. That's why it's red. It's iron oxide. It's hematite primarily. And when you get rid of all this stuff that's volatile, you end up with the metals, and the metals are in here. Now, it's not just all iron. There's all kinds of metals in there, but primarily it's iron because your blood is primarily iron. So we're going to look at these in a microscope with the catalase, and I'm going to show you the difference between this and this one here, how they burnt off coming through, and you'll see a little white flakes in here, but the real one that didn't get burnt off is going to look like this. Okay, like I said, I got zillions of lungs. I mean, they preserved extremely well, and some of them still had blood in them that actually bubbled out a little bit when they started to dry up. Now, this one here is what I'm talking about, all these white flakes. You see this? This is a perfectly preserved lung as well. It has that little flap on the end, just like they all do. Here's another one of a different style. I don't know what kind of creature it was, but that has that really gnarly little spot on the end as well. They all have that. It's different than the rest of the thing, just like this one shows up here, you see it? And this is, again, I don't know what kind of creature this was, but this was the lung, and there's that flap. All had it. They all had it. And these do too. Both of these have it, and I can show it to you in the microscope, as I will. And let's get ready to look at it in the microscope. Let me get set up here. All right, before we go to the microscope, again, remember that Willamette meteorite, the gigantic one. Well, these are meteorites too. Well, this is the same one. This is just a close-up. But what this is it's a meteorite, and you see all these different crystalline patterns here. Those are basically different metals, and they crystallize as they cool down and sort of create these patterns. And when they cut it, and they put a little acid on there probably to etch it, and then you see this. Now you see this black spot and that red spot. I don't know if you. I'm going to show you the close-up one so that you can see it better. I think. You see the red spot there? That's pretty red. Why is that thing so red? And what is it doing in the middle of this iron meteorite? And why is this so black? And why is it that little round thing doing in the middle of the meteorite? Because that's red and black blood. This, I believe, was probably a liver, because it doesn't show any of the signs of the pock marks and everything. If you saw the outside of it, it's sort of flattish black looking. So I don't think this was a lung, but a liver will also have a very high concentration of blood, which is where your metals are. Your liver has a lot of metals. The lungs have a ton of metals. And that one heart, I think I showed you, those also have a ton of metals. You know what? Let me show you Psyche and Bennu. Wait till you see this. Those are both asteroids, and they are both hearts. All right, this is outrageous. I'm telling you, the things that came through space are, that I have right here, are biological. And this is asteroid Psyche. All right, you see it right here? This is a metal asteroid. They think it's worth billions of dollars, and it might be. But you see what it looks like? That's asteroid Psyche. This is asteroid Bennu. It's also a metal asteroid. They're both hearts. Gigantic, gigantic hearts. You see that? That's not a crater. That's not a crater. That's a tube sticking out. And there's other ones that are tubes sticking out. And this right here is where the tendon is on a heart. And the rest is all muscle, basically. And then there's a ton of valves all over the place. There are a ton of them. You see this here? This is what a heart looks like. You got all these big ones, but then you got a ton of other ones going all over the place, different holes in here and there. So that's what you're seeing on these hearts. And this is what, these are the big ones. You see it? These are the big ones right here. There's one here, one here, one here. They got the same thing here. Now, you see this ridge right here? You see that ridge? And of course you got the big tubes here, or those are the valves. And look at this. This is a living heart. Well, you know, obviously not alive now, but this is that tendon ridge that you saw around here. This is all the gooey stuff that surrounds the tubing so that you can bend and flex around and all that stuff. This is what locks in the muscle so the muscle can pump your heart. This is what we're seeing on Bennu as that ridge. Now don't forget, this is I call it the gooey stuff that holds this in. And if you could look at this real careful, you would see there's all kinds of little, it's literally glue. And it literally is, because this is glued to this heart. I'm not kidding you, it's literally glued onto there. And here is that ridge right there. That's where the tendon starts, and then the muscle wraps around in the back. And these where those tubes come up. And they're glued right onto that cavity. All right, you see here, they're basically glued onto here. Some of them may look like they're tubes coming in, but when they break, I think the other ones are broken at these valves. This is just the bottom part of the heart you see up there. You don't see a lot of this stuff, or maybe you're seeing the top half, I don't know. But these are the valves. The big valves, I think, are what we were seeing up. Whether we're seeing this way, I think it must be this way. I don't know. Seeing down in it. But they're hearts. All right. What we're looking at here is down this way. Apparently down through here. All right. And this is where the muscle is. But you see here, this is basically glued on here. Those tubes. And then you have your valves in here. And that's why the blood can only go this way and then that way and this way and then that way and so forth, so that it can pump through your body. And you have, you know, you got to pump both blood. You got to pump the good, clean blood to your body, and you got to pump the bad, dirty blood coming up into your organs so that it gets all cleaned up. Now let's take a look at these meteorites that I have here. But don't forget, these are two parts, and they're both metal. They know it, and they actually took a sample. Now I forgot all about this. They just came back with a sample from Bennu before they landed with it. They were touting, "Oh, we're going to land with this." Well, they landed with it. And they actually had a bunch of extra stuff because a bunch of debris got caught in there. So their special little capsule, they're being so careful with. Well, in addition to that, they had a whole bunch of extra stuff. I'm going to tell you what, if they took that extra stuff and they did an analysis on it, they would find out it's all heart or blood metals. And I was looking at this the other day. It's somewhere around here. Here it is right here. The metal profile of blood, and here's what's in the blood. These are all the things right here. You see, 26 elements quantified in whole blood: lithium, barium, all of that, right up the line. But guess what's going to be 99? Well, probably 90% or so is going to be iron. But all of these other particles, all of these other metals are in your blood. That's why when you saw that a meteorite cut here and all these little crystals, those are all different types of metals. That's why you see all those different patterns. All right, you see that? That is the latch that's coming down on this little iron meteorite. Now, I'm going to just put a little hydrogen peroxide right in this area just to see. We probably won't see anything happen, or maybe just a little bit, but there's blood on there. Now when we put it into the actual holes, you're going to see a lot. You see a little bit of fuzzing here and there, not much. But see, this is this thing right here. That's the latch that would have held this in, this whole thing. Now all of that's not mud. That is blood in these little alveoli. Now I'm going to find a good spot, and you can see there's tiny little white flakes here and there because it didn't burn all of the white flakes off. And again, it's a lung, and let me see if I can move this around a little bit on the fly here. You see the little white flakes over here and there? That's from the fabric of the lung. See how they didn't burn off in that spot? Alright, now I'm going to find, there's a couple of spots here that I have. Alright, right in here is where they blew out pretty good. Alright, now I should be able to find some blood in here. And what we're going to look for is a foamy stuff. And I'm going to have to get lower on this. Let me get set up. This is kind of hard to do. Hold on. Okay, I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen. This one here, you can see all the little those are alveoli, and they have blown out. And inside of them, I'm sure there's going to be blood. Now, we're going to see something. There's no question about that. Now, I got to put a lot on here because it's extremely dry. And I haven't ever done this one, so I don't know what's going to happen. But we should see inside these pockets a bunch of little bubbles start coming up as the catalase starts doing this job. But what we're going to look for is right like this right here. You see the fuzzy stuff? That's what we're really going to look for, is the fuzzy. That's the stuff that, when you see that, you know you got a catalase reaction. I'm going to come right down on top of this. I mean right dead on top of it. So hold on. Here we go. Boom. Alright, you see all the little bubbling going on? See it all bubbling around here? That's natural. That's going to happen to most everything. Is going to bubble a little bit, but not a ton. It's going to kill all the stuff that's on the surface primarily, and then it's going to be done. Now, not in this case. We're going inside, to where, okay, that's a better shot. You see the bubbles coming up? That's because the hydrogen peroxide has extra oxygen in it, and catalase is part of your body's defense against that extra oxygen. It's called reactive oxygen species. Now, you're going to get a lot of reaction right around the edges of things. You know, that's where your foamy stuff usually comes from. This is a very good catalase reaction. You don't see it where, you're seeing it where there's a lot of blood. Let me put it that way. You're not seeing it where the casing is. It's where the blood is. And that might be some gold right there. Because there's metal in here. There's no question. I mean, it's all metal. And there's going to be gold in there. Your body has all those metals in you. Every single metal, basically. Let me get a real good cleanup on that and see what happens. I think that is gold. You see it right there. I'm seeing different metals. I would have to go with there's some kind of metal in there, and I think it's probably, it looks like gold to me. I don't know. You see, you're still getting a little bubble action. Let me hit it with some more and see. There's not a real strong catalase reaction. A strong catalase reaction is just be bubbling like crazy, especially around the edges. I think that's gold. Let's see what we got now. I just saturated it. We're getting there. I like to see it really fuzz up, and I think the other one is gonna be, because the other day, man, it went to town. It just bubbled like crazy. And I think this might as well. This seems to have a pretty good reaction now. It may have been so aggressive that it wiped all out the hydrogen peroxide real quickly. Hold on, let me try some more. Sometimes it eats it up so quick you don't think there's any there. Alright, let's give it a minute here. There's not a ton of catalase in this. There's some, but it's not, it's not excessively reactive. Let me put it that way. Let's take a look at the other one. All right, remember I told you they all have the latch on it. That's the latch on this one. It's basically got almost burnt off. You see, but that's that latch thing here. Hold on, see if I can focus this in. That's the design of them, and I'll show you the other ones. Hold on. See, this is the bigger meteorite, and this is it right here, coming right down like this, and that's what latched it into the next part when it's been ripped out. Now, and then you go back into the lung. But that's like a separate little piece, just as the other little meteorite was. And now I'm going to show you the one that is not from a meteorite, but it does have the latch, and we'll see the latch. All right, there it is right there. I'm going to back it off here so you can see a little more of the lung. But that's they all have that latch. Every one that I can find, 100%. And that's what holds it into your body. These latches are throughout the body. They're not just on the lungs. They're on every organ that attaches to another place in the body. Because they're all separated into their own little plastic bags, basically this. And then this attaches to the next bag, which is not the same chemistry, totally different chemistry. Well, maybe totally, but not 100% totally. But the fluids have to run from this fluid-filled highway here into that other one. All right, it's a little bit complicated, but not all that bad. It's one big system throughout the whole body that this thing is latched into, and that was this here. It's this right here, this fascia. What's this here? You see, this is the fascia. Now the same thing here. It's got its own little flap here, and it latches into the next body part and carries its interstitial fluids, which are different from the lung to wherever that attached to. I don't know what it attaches to. But this is that fluid-filled highway. And this is pretty new. They didn't realize this even existed until a few years back. 2018, I think it was. And yes, it was 2018. Now, and so here's what we got. This is all the stuff. Now let's see. I did this the other day. I don't know if I should bother doing it again, but this is the bigger lung, the iron lung, and it's got all the same cavities in it. And I'll show it to you. And you can see some of the white fibers in this pretty good. And you can see it's all just saturated with blood. And the other day it just foamed up like crazy. It only has so much catalase in there, and I don't know, maybe I burnt it all up. I don't know. It might do it, it might not. Who knows? All right, so there's the little iron well, it's the bigger of the two iron meteorites, and here it is in the screen. Now you can see there's some pretty good red blood still in there, and those were all alveolites, and they exploded from the heat. You see how this all turned black, but you can see a lot of the white fibers in here. So this one here was a lung that is just heated up and pretty much turned into iron or metals. An iron meteorite is not iron. Just forget that iron part. It's metals, a metal meteorite. All right, so I'm going to slaughter this puppy with hydrogen peroxide. And then I'm going to have to bring it right down tight so we can see it. And like I said, I think this was a spot I did the other day, and it just foamed like crazy, but let me bring this down. All right, see, that's all catalase reaction. Now you don't see it on the black stuff. Because there was some biology there, but it's dead. It's killed. It's wiped out. But this you can't kill and wipe out. There is still a lot in there, and the more you put on there, the deeper it goes inside, and the catalase keeps reacting. Now, going right into blood, you see big bubbles. If we weren't into exact blood, you would see a foam, like a white foam, and it would surround it as the blood vessels. Now this is a little different. These are just exploded out. But I showed one like in Caesar's neck. You can see it perfectly. But you see, you don't have any catalase reactions around here. You know, on the black part, it's just, there's nothing there to react anymore. But here's where your reactions are still quite vigorous. There's a lot of red blood there now. I'll bet that'll give us a lot better reaction if I can get more in there. Because like I say, it turns it into water very quickly if there's a strong catalase reaction. Let's see what happens here. Keep your eye on there. See the big bubble coming out? Yep, it's penetrating down. Once these big bubbles come out, boom, she takes off. That's what's happening. It's so reactive. There goes one. And there's some more should be coming out, big ones. I can see another one getting ready to form. They're not getting big. I can see them coming out of here, but they're still kind of small. Oh, here it comes. Here they come. There we go. Now I'm going to hit it with another really big blast, and eventually that should start foaming out of there like crazy, because I can tell you there's going to be a ton of catalase down in there, and we will get to that foam. But you have to keep putting it on, because what it's doing is it's converting this stuff into water, and once it's a water, there's no more bubbles. Alright, so now we should be pretty good now. We should get a really good reaction this time. There they come. See it? Now, sooner or later, we're going to get that foam. Boom, look at that. Boom, look at that baby come out of there now. Look at the stuff coming out. Those could, no, I don't want to make any crazy statements. This is quite interesting. It takes a long time for these kind of things to happen, but I tell you, there's some serious action going on there, and there's so much catalase in there that it's eating it up so quick that we're not able to really see the strong reaction. But you see, you understand what you're looking at here. This is not happening just everywhere foaming. It's only happening where the suspected blood vessel was, or the suspected passage of blood. See, here comes the bubbles again. Once you see the big ones come, sooner or later this thing's going to foam. I can almost guarantee it. I may have to put in 5 more times the catalase, put it in there, but sooner or later, these gigantic bubbles are going to come out. Here comes another gigantic one. It's penetrating way, way, way down. Look at that baby. Watch, all of a sudden, boom, it takes off. Boom, look at it go. Now, what will come out with that, I don't know. There's more. All right, but whenever you see that big bubble come out of there, it means that it's eating up all of that extra oxygen. So now I have to put more catalase in, more hydrogen peroxide, or we're not going to get any more reaction. That's the thing. I always thought I was putting too much in, but you're only putting too much in because it's really working it. It's killing it quick. Now, you see, you can see the little bubbles, and then all of a sudden you should be able to see some pretty good sized ones. Here it comes now. So now we're starting to get down deep enough where we're going to get some foam. I'd be surprised we don't get foam this time. Come on, give me some foam, baby. Come on, foam, man. I would have suspected we would have foam by now. Here comes another one. It's eating this hydrogen peroxide right up. That's why these big bubbles are coming out, because it's all being turned into water. Boom. Here comes an, oops. It's eating it up too fast. You see the little tiny bubbles coming out? I gotta do it again. Look at that. All right, here comes another big one. Every time you see a big one, it means it's hitting some really serious catalase. That one's good size. Boom. It's like watching paint dry. Almost exactly. Hold on one second. Okay, remember I told you that I had a very strong catalase reaction, and I thought it might have been that same meteorite that I'm showing you. This is it right here. I went back to when I did this video a few days back, and it is the same spot. This is what we were looking at and trying to get a big bubble and the foam out of here. But this appears to me that it might have different chemistry than the red. It looks like it to me. All right, you know how I'm just saying I got to see the catalase come up, I got to see the foam come up. Well, I went back to this video, which the foam did come out, and it is the same spot. So we've already probably used up all that foamy stuff. But here goes. Listen to this and watch this. Now, I'm putting the catalase, or the hydrogen peroxide in there, and I'm pointing to where they're coming out, because I just started. All right. Now, you'll see this is going to be very, very reactive shortly as this stuff starts to penetrate in. Then you see little bubbles here and there, and I'm thinking to myself, well, we're not going to have anything really much to talk about. And then all of a sudden, this catalase started to kick in. You see it starting to bubble all around here. You see the bubbles coming up. It takes a little while for it to get going. Now I'm trying to home in and out. Like I say, this was a few days back. Now you see how that dried right up? It dried right up. The rest of it stayed nice and wet. So I had to put a bunch more stuff in there, and it'll dry right up again. Wow, look at it. Boom, 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 boom. Huge bubbles coming out of there. See how fast, how instantly, and now it dried right up. Look at that. So I flushed some more in there to see what would happen. But it's bubbling all around here, you see it? But not like this. That has enormous amount of catalase going on. Hold on one second. All right, I went back to this video that I did a few days back, and I'm looking at the same place in the same little iron lung that we couldn't get much of a reaction. We're getting some reaction. We're getting a little here, a little there, and I'm thinking to myself, we're not really going to get too far with this. It's just burnt up all the catalase. So then I start looking around for better spots to look at, and I start saturating this one up. Now, this is basically the same spot that we were just looking at. Now, watch what happens over here. This one here, it does a little bit, but this is the one that we want to watch, because something's different there. Now, and then I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, no big deal, nothing really going to happen. And we're getting a little reaction here and there, but that's just normal, because this came out of space. Now, this is an iron meteorite. So I'm looking, and all of a sudden I see over here we got some action going on. And all of a sudden it looked like it dried up. Just keep watching it. This takes time. I mean, this is one of these things that you got to spend a bunch of time doing this. I know I'm dragging you through the soup here, but that's just the way it is. You see it, all of a sudden it dried up. Nothing else dried up. Why is that dried up? I can see all these little tiny holes going in there. There's all kind of blood vessels going down inside. Watch what happens now. Boom, 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 boom. And now all the foam will start to squirt out of there. Look, it dried up. That's right. It dried up again a couple of times. Maybe at least once more, this time anyway. You see it's dried up again? So I've got to slather some more on there. The more catalase is in there, the quicker it's going to eat it up. Boom, boom. Now the foam will start juicing out of there, I think. Or maybe it's another. It dried up again. I can't remember these things too well. My mind's going bad. But you see, everything else is still wet. That dried up. So it's eating this right up. So, Roger, put some more in there. Let's go, buddy. Get a move on, man. Boy, is this guy slow. Here we go. Now watch, it's going to explode again. Boom. I can't believe it dried up again. It did, dried up again. And I believe that's the hole, as I pointed to a second ago. Again, I'm pointing in this video from a few days back. So that's why I got two hands working at the same time. Yeah, it keeps drying up. All right, I know it blows out of here. At some point, it's going to blow out. Let's just get another shot here. I think it's got to be this time that it blows out. But it's going to blow up these big balloons again. Boom. Oh, man, it dried up again. Well, again, this is what research is all about. It takes a while to do it. Boom, look at that baby come out. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. It's going to come out of there. All that juice is going to start flowing any second now. All the white foamy stuff. Maybe one more time. All right, looks like one more time. I didn't realize how many times it took. All right, here we go. Come on, let's go. Let's get this show on the road. Boom, there it is, there it is. There's the stuff. Boom, boom, boom. That's the foam you want to see. That puppy is reactive. That is enormous amount of catalase reaction. So that means that something biological created this thing. Catalase is a biological enzyme created by virtually everything that is biology, which is virtually everything. Okay, my friends, this is over the top. I told you I have this one here that came through space. It's a fingertip. This is one that was here on the Earth. Now look at this. They're identical. You see that little hook right there? That is the nature of this, the way the fingertips are done. This little dot here and that dot up there are where the vein is. Same thing here, dot here and dot here, the vein. The artery is over here. The arteries blew completely out. This one exploded coming through space because it was still wet. So this was the artery side, the red side. And you see these little structures here? I have all of this in these extremely detailed pictures of what these tendons lock in at. You see how they lock right in the same spots? This is a fingertip. It appears to be a human. Now, I'm going to show these in extreme detail and under the magnifying, the microscope, and I'm going to show where all of the blood vessels are. You have to have all of that stuff. If you don't have all of that stuff, you don't have anything. You got to be able to show where the blood vessels are, where the tendons attach, where, or anything you can show. And I can show a lot. And I have other ones here that are even eroded more than this one. Well, this one came through space, but I have other ones here that are from my eroded hand, and I'm going to show you that as well, because this is what a distal phalanges looks like, and this again has the blood blown out on the side and the end, which is on the artery side. The vein side, they seal right off. That's just the way it works. And this little pattern is a pattern of a distal phalanges, if you know anything about fingertips. And anyway, I might have a shot of it here, but all right, well, it's right on the tip of the finger right here. Anyway, this is going to be coming up. The next video will be on all of this anomalies, and I'm going to be putting anatomy to anomalies. Anatomy to anomalies. Now remember I showed you all that blood coming out of the fingertips? One side is artery, one side's vein. One side clamps off, one side blows out. Terrestrial, same thing. One side clamps off, one side blows out. Blows out. Came through space, didn't come through space. You see that? That's where the human body is, well, creatures are just amazing. That's where those tendons locked in. And as I can show you, and I will show you in the next video, it'll be extremely detailed and probably boring to most. And then I also found out something I just never knew. It always perplexed me, always. But anyway, this is the fingertip I showed you, and these are where those little circles are here and there that go to the fingertip. Now, hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. Let's just finish it up here. I have the stuff coming through space. I could show you that, and I did. There seems to be still catalase in it. Here's the other thing that perplexed me for my whole time. I have feet, all kinds of feet, and they have that pattern coming this way across the top of them, and I always expected the toes to come straight out, but it's the muscles that pull across in the tendons, and I never realized that until today. I'll tell you, every day is a new day. Every day is a new day of discovering something. And this was the other last little meteorite I have here. This one here is a bony meteorite. And that must have been where there was an artery, because it's all just blood. And this thing weighs almost nothing. I'm going to put it really quick in the microscope and take a quick look at it, and then I'll wrap this up, all right? All right, I'm sort of doing this freehand here, and it's going to be jiggly. Now, this is that little one that had the blood all over it. And it's magnetic, well, it's iron. The blood turns into iron. And this appears to me to be bone. And if you come across the bone, it's all scarred up over here where heated. And then on the top is where all the blood bubbled out. All right, this is the bloody spot where all the blood bubbled out and turned into basically iron, metal. Blood is almost all iron. It's FeO2 and FeO3. That's oxygen, red ones, and the black ones is the O2. O3 is the red. You see it? So this must have been right up somewhere where there was a lot of blood. That's just what happens. Where there's a lot of blood, you get the iron comes as you cook it. And this was like some kind of cooked bone with a really heavy piece of a big artery or something in here. Anyway, it's magnetic, and that's it for today, my friend. Just so you know, I have another one here. This is another meteorite, came through space and cooked up and literally exploded this side right off of it because it was wet inside there. This is a giant fingertip. I'm just telling you, that's what it is. You see that? That was like where the tendons lock in, one here, and one there. This side blew out because it's the red blood. This side, you see the little vein right there? The vein didn't blow out. That vein didn't blow out. The veins don't blow out. The red side explodes because it's wet and red and nasty, and well, not nasty, it's fluidy, and it exploded. This side, the black, has clamps, and they don't work like the red side. So anyway, that's another one I have, and I have a terrestrial fingertip that's identical to this. As a matter of fact, let me get it.